All right, good day. Hope that you're doing well. So, in this video, we're going to be doing previous exam questions based on Euclidean geometry. Now, starting off with the first question, question 4, we need to find sizes from angle A to G in that order, and we need to give reasons. Now, first, let me illustrate what I'm given. Now, I'm being told that line AB and CD are parallel to one another, right? So now, this is my line AB, and this line is parallel to my line CD, which is that, right? What other information am I being told? They're telling me that line AD and DC, now where's AD? So this is my AD. So line AD and line DC, they are equal to one another. Now, as a result, let me solve for these angles, starting off at angle A, right? Because we must put them in order. So A, now, can you see that your A is vertically opposite to that 60 degrees? And what do we know about vertically opposite angles is that they're going to be equal to one another. So my angle A is going to be equal to 60 degrees. And the reason that I'm going to give is that it's vertically or vertical opposite angles or vertically opposite angles. All right. So I found my A as 60, right? So normally when I find an angle, I like to draw it or write it down there. So let me try and make it a rough note. So this is 60. Okay, that's not visible, but that's fine. Okay, now B, how would I find my angle B? Now, if I'm being told that BA is parallel to CD, right? So let me try and draw it here. So I want you to note something. This is AB, right? This is not up to scale. This is CD. Remember, whenever you have parallel lines, right? Parallel lines, this is where you can make use of your fun. I like to call it the fun. So basically, these are corresponding angles. They're going to be equal to one another. And here, right, this principle is going to only be applicable if this line is parallel to that line right over here. So here, this line must be parallel to this line. Here, this line, it must be parallel to that line. So these are corresponding angles. Here, your co-interior angles, they should be equals to 180 when you add them. And here, our Z, this must be equals to that. Hopefully, this is visible. Right. Now, in this case, if this is parallel to that, it simply means that this angle right over here is going to be equals to that angle right over there. And our reason is alternating angles. So now I have this angle C as 35. Simply means that the angle here, which is B, is also going to be 35, right? So now my B is equals to 35 degrees. And my reason being is that these are alternating angles, right? And I need to state my parallel lines. If I do so, AB, it's parallel to line DC or CD, right? Now, finding C, so this is 35. Now, finding my C, let me see what I can use to find my angle C. So now I was also told that AD is equals to DC, right? Now, let me just try and separate the shape here. So now, okay, let me try and make a rough sketch here. Now, this is my ADC triangle. And on this ADC triangle, I was told that AD is going to be equals to DC. Now, if you know what kind of a shape is that, now every time whenever they're giving you something, right, they're telling you about parallel lines, they're telling you about equal lines, you need to make use of that to solve for whatever angles that they want you to find, right? So as you can see that to find angle B, I used my parallel lines. Now to find my angle C, I'm going to make use of my equal lines. Now remember, this is an isosceles triangle, and what do we know about base angles of your isosceles is that they're going to be equal to one another, right? Now as a result, this angle C is going to be equals to this angle here, right? My angle A, right? In this case here, my C would also be equals to 35 degrees. And my reason would be, okay, ADC, right? My triangle ADC is an isosceles triangle. And I know that base angles are going to be equal to one another. So I'm going to state that triangle ADC is an isosceles and base angles as a result, they're going to be equal to one another. So now this angle here, it's also 35 degrees. So now what angle do I need to find? I need to find angle D. Now I like to draw out my shape so that you could be able to see whatever that I'm trying to explain, right? So, okay, now this is my angle C, which I said it's 35 degrees. This is my angle D, which I'm trying to determine. And remember here, we said this angle A here is equals to 60. So can we find this angle A? Yes, right? Remember, we're going to make use of your sum of angles in a triangle, right? So now to find A, right? Remember, if I take angle A plus angle, so this is my angle A. If I take angle A plus angle C plus angle D, right? I expect to get 180 degrees. And my reason would be sum of angles in a triangle. And as a result, my A is 35, my C is 60. I need to solve for my value of D. Now, my D would be equals to 180 minus 60 minus the 35. Now, remember, you need to show these workings on your answer sheet, right? So now, 180 minus 60 minus 35, this is equals to 85 degrees, right? So here I'm going to say, okay, my angle D is equals to 85 degrees. And I'm going to mention the reason that I use here, right? So reason being is that sum of angles in a triangle. So this here, I know it's 85. Now, E, let me see how can I find E. So with regards to my angle E, how would I find it? So let me try and erase here. Now to find E, let me first identify the shape it's in, right? So let me try and draw this here. All right, and then we have a line extending to there. So now here I want you to note something. You have this angle C, this is your angle D. Now this 3 is 35 degrees. This D is angle E, which we're trying to determine, right? Now I also have this angle A, which is 60 degrees, which is here. Now, can you see that your angle A is an exterior angle? And what do you know about an exterior angle of a triangle? So always an exterior angle of a triangle is equals to two opposite interior angles, right? So exterior angle of a triangle, right? So let me just write it here. Exterior angle of a triangle. This is equals to two opposite interior angles. Now, I want you to note something here. So, because this is an exterior angle, these would be our two opposite interior angles, right? Now, simple terms, this angle right over here, 60, is going to be equals to angle E plus 35. And the reason we're going to give is that this is an exterior angle of a triangle. Right? Now, how did I know that I'm going to use this principle? First, I like to draw out the shape that the angle I'm trying to determine it's at. And afterwards, I ask myself, what is it that I've calculated before I can use to find whatever that I'm looking for, in this case, which is E. So now I see that, okay, I have given that is 35. What are the other angles nearby which I could use? Okay, someone might say you have another 60, which is here. So I have these two angles. So either way, this was going to be the same. This is still an exterior angle, right? And it would be equals to your two opposite interior that. So hence I knew that in this case, I need to apply the exterior angle principle. Now, as a result, my angle E would be equals to 60. Remember these workings, you need to show them on your answer sheet. 60 minus the 35. So 60 minus 35, this would be equals to 25. So I know that my angle E is equals to 25 degrees. And the reason that I'm going to give is that this is an exterior, or I'm going to give the reason that I gave you exterior angle of a triangle. Right? So I have my angle E is 25 degrees. So let me try and erase here. I need to determine angle F. Now, I want you to note something. Let me draw the straight line right over here. Right? So here, this is angle D. Remember, I said angle D is 85 degrees. This is angle E, which is 25 degrees. And I'm looking for my angle F. Right? Now, this is what's happening here. Right? And I'm going to erase this afterwards. So just to give you a tip with regards to how to answer Euclidean geometry questions. So every time, whenever you're solving for an angle, try to separate the shape that that angle is at, right? Try to draw it on the side so that it may give you a clue with regards to what to do, right? Hence, you could see I'm using this technique here. So now how would I find my angle F? I know that if I take 85 degrees and I add it to 25 and I add it to my angle F, I'm going to get 180. And why is that? These are sum of angles on a straight line, right? And remember, sum of angles on a straight line. Sum of angles on a straight line, they are supplementary, meaning that they are equals to 180. As a result, my angle F, it will be equals to 180 minus the 85 minus 25. Right? So 180 minus 85 minus 25, this is 70 degrees. So this angle right over here, angle F, is 70 degrees. So F is 70 degrees, and my reason would be sum of angles on a straight line. The reason that I used above on a straight line. Now let me see. So EF, Now the last angle that I'm trying to determine is my angle G, right? So now how would I find G? So let me just try and erase here. Now, as you find more angles, it should be easier for you to solve for other angles. Now here I could see that, okay, only if I had this here, it would have been easier for me to find G, but I don't have the angle here. Now, what is it else that I could use? I can use that principle of an exterior angle, right? Remember the same principle I used. So if I were to highlight my G, here, remember I have the 60 degrees. Here's 35. Here is my angle G, right? And remember, 60 is your exterior angle. And we said your exterior angle is equals to your two opposite interior angle. So I could say to find 60 is equals to G plus 35. And as a result, my G would be equals to 25. And here your reason is an exterior angle of a triangle. G is equals to 25 degrees. Now, another way you could solve for G, I want you to see something. You could use this angle E right over here. Now, you're told that, so let me do that here. You're told that CD, right, this is my line CD. CD is parallel to line BA or AB. Right? Now, this is my line AB. Now, if these two lines are parallel to one another, remember there is a line which goes from here to there. If these two are parallel to one another, here, remember here's my angle E. As a result, this angle E is going to be equal to this angle here, which is angle G, right? Now, what was my angle E? I've calculated it before as 25 degrees, right? Let me confirm. Here, it's 25 degrees. So another method you could use, you could say angle G, it would be equals to angle E. Now your reason would be alternating angles, and you need to state your parallel lines, right? So AB is parallel to CD. Now, as a result, your angle G is going to be equals to 25 degrees, right? And that would be your final answer, right? That was all that we will require to answer in this instance, right? Remember here, my final answer, G, I showed you two methods. Your G is equals to 25 degrees. I'm just going to go with the first one. And my reason is exterior angle of triangle. All right. So that was all with regards to this question here. Let's move on to the next question. So now to solve for the next question, which is 4.2, we're going to be making use of the midpoint theorem. Now they say in the diagram below, QS is parallel to TV, right? Now basically here they're explaining everything which is already here on the diagram. Now the first question, they want us to prove that VR is equals to 7.5. Now, so in your calculator, just press shift and press your fraction, right? And as a result of you pressing your fractions, punch this into your calculator to find the actual value. So basically this is the same as 7.5. So basically, I'm trying to prove that VR is equals to 7.5, right? 7.5, which is the same as 7.5. Now, how would I go about doing that? So first, let me see what am I given here, right? So let me highlight the first triangle that I'm going to do my workings on. I'm going to do my workings on the big triangle. So this here is going to be my focus, the big triangle. Now, in this triangle, this line PQ, right? Remember, there must be two lines parallel to one another. It's parallel to this line ST. Now, as a result, what can I conclude from that? So I'm going to name my triangle in triangle PQR, the big triangle, right? I'm going to mention that, okay, PQ is parallel to ST, and this was given, right? Now, as a result, if this is the case, remember when you have these lines that are parallel to one another in a triangle, therefore, this here, T, is going to be the midpoint of QR, right? As well as this point S, is going to be the midpoint of PR, right? So now, here, I'm going to say, all right, therefore, at my interest, okay, I'm going to say, therefore, T is going to be the midpoint of QR, right? Now, hence this side is equals to that side. And here, S is going to be the midpoint of PR, meaning that this side, which is 15 centimeter, it will be equals to that side. Now, as a result, my SR, it will be equals to 15 centimeters, right? Now, I found the length of SR. Now, remember, what is it that I'm trying to prove? I'm trying to prove this length of VR. Now, can you see that to find this actual length of VR, we're going to make use of the other triangle here in this case. Now that I found the overall length of SR, I need to use the other triangle, the smaller one, to find VR, right? So now, first step, make sure that you find all the values in your bigger triangle. And from there, you can now go about solving for your answer. In this case, we're going to make use of the smaller triangle. So now if I were to draw a line here, now if I were to highlight the other triangle that I'm going to make use of, right? So in triangle RSQ, right? Now this is the triangle. Let me just try and make a rough sketch of it. So this is my triangle RSQ. Right, this is the triangle I'm going to be making my working zone. Now in this triangle, I know that QS is it's parallel, right? So it's going to be parallel to my line TV, and this was given. Now, as a result, T is going to be the midpoint of line QR, right? Hence, QT is going to be equals to TR, which is 9 centimeters in this case. Now, on the other side, my point V, right, let me write that using a different marker. So V is going to be the midpoint of SR. Now, as a result, right, because I have the overall length, remember the length from S to R, I've determined it as 15. And if V is the midpoint, it means that this side, it must be equal to that side. So as a result, to find the length of both these sides, I'm going to divide this 15 by 2, right? In this case, I want the length of VR. So meaning that my VR is going to be equals to 15 divided by 2. As a result, this is 7,5, which is the same as what we were trying to prove, 7.5 centimeters. And this would be your final answer, right? As I've said, for this question, you would need to make use of the midpoint theorem, right? So now I know that the length from S to T, I know that my length from S to V is 7.5. My V to R is also 7.5, right? So let me try and indicate that so that maybe I can make use of that answer in the preceding questions. Half. Then the next question, they want me to calculate PQ if PQ is equals to 16 over 5 VR. Now, what is the length from V to R that I've determined right over here? So my length from V to R is 7.5, right? So basically here it's 16 over 5 multiplied by my VR. In this case, as I've said, so this is going to be 16 over 5 multiplied by, so remember we're trying to find PQ, right? So this is equals to your PQ. And my length from V to R, I've determined it as 7.5, right? Now, if I multiply the two, my length of PQ is going to be equals to 24 units. Or let me see if this is in terms of centimeter or this is in centimeters. So here, instead of units, you will just say centimeters. Now, the next question, they want me to prove that angle PQR. Now, let me highlight that angle here. So my angle PQR, so this is this angle here. They want me to prove that this angle is 90. Now, let me try and draw it here. So I'm gonna draw my my triangle here that I'm trying to prove that this is a right angle triangle. Now, remember, if this can only be 90, right? If this is my hypotenuse, because why? My hypotenuse is that line that is opposite to my 90 degrees. So basically, if I could prove that this line, so this is P, Q, this is R. If I could prove that PQ, if I could prove that PR is my hypotenuse, right? Basically, I would have proven that this angle right over here, it would be 90 degrees. Now, what information do I have? What is the length of PR? Now, my PR is the 15 centimeters plus this, so it will be this 15 plus the 15. So my length from P to R is 30 centimeters. My length from P to Q is 24 centimeters. My length from Q to R is 9 plus 9, which would be 18 centimeters. So now if I could prove, now remember your theorem of Pythagoras, I need to prove that this is my hypotenuse. If I could prove that when I take my x squared, right, and I add it to my y squared, and I square root them, I'm going to get my value of R, which is 30. Therefore, I would have proven that this PR is my hypotenuse, right? So if I could prove that when I take my x squared, which is 18 squared, and I add it to y squared, which is 24 squared, and I square root everything, and I get 30 as my answer, this would mean that this here, this line PR is my hypotenuse. As a result, I know that the angle opposite to my hypotenuse is always 90 degrees. Now let me go about doing that. So here I will say, okay, my x, which is 18 squared, plus my y, which is 24 squared, right? Now I'm going to punch this into my calculator, including the square root. So 18 squared plus 24 squared. Now, this is equals to 30, punching it into your calculator. So as a result, remember, x squared plus y squared is equals to r squared. Now, as a result, r is equals to x squared plus y squared. So we have proven that this line PR is our hypotenuse. So as a result, now here to conclude, I would write, right? So here we say, therefore, PR, it will be my hypotenuse, right? This would be equals to my hypotenuse, right? Now, meaning that angle PQR is going to be equals to 90 degrees. And my reason it will be because PQR is opposite to my hypotenuse, right? Which is PR, right? So now I've proven that this angle right over here is 90 degrees, right? And that'll be all for this section. Remember, if ever you have any questions, always feel free to reach out.